dad, Yogi Eileen, bringing you the part 2 of our Foundations and Flow workshop class. And we are going to go through the spinal wave, yeah, this one, that one, the spinal wave. We are going to go through backbends, how to come into safe standing backbends. We are also going to go through prone backbends. These are our cobras and our upward facing dogs, because those are backbends as well. Apart from being back strengtheners and arm strengtheners, yeah? Remember our poses. None of the poses are just one trick ponies. The intent is always a holistic delivery of benefits to you. Anyway, we are also going to quickly go through or review our hand alignment in relation to our feet in forward folds. Yeah? So let's get on to it. Roll your shoulders first. Give your body a shake. Give your legs a shake. Yeah? Roll your shoulders. I hope you haven't had a heavy breakfast or a heavy brunch. Happy Friday for those whose April 16 falls on a Friday. Or happy Thursday, is it? If you're in another part of the globe. So extend your wrists this way as well. Just give your wrists a few rolls. Now, a very quick review of our hands and our feet. Last time we talked about opening the hands. I hope you can see me. Opening the hands as wide as the webbing of your fingers will allow. Not overly wide, don't stress yourself, but wide enough to give you a good circular shape of the pads of the fingers, the base of the heels, and up back to the pads of the fingers. So we have two circles of the hands, the big circle, the pads of the fingers, and the internal circle, the smaller one, the bases, the direct opposite of your finger, the bases of the fingers, and as well as the base of the thumb and the heels of the hands. That's how we place our hands down on the mat. None of this dainty, squeezed fingers and cupped hands, none of those dainty positions. Wide hands, pressing the circles of the hands down, gives you a better base, and that's what we want, yeah? If the fingers are squeezed in, that's a really small base, and you're giving too much stress on the heels of the hands when we place weight on the hands, and we never want to do that. So, quickly, that's the circles. Those are the circles of the hands. Now, the triangles of the feet. Base of the big toe, base of the little toe, and the whole of the heel. That is the triangle of your foot, yeah? Or for two triangles of your feet. We press them in and we avoid, I don't know, I hope you can see this, we avoid overly pronating and supinating the feet, yeah? Because that impacts greatly on your ACLs, your knee joints, all of the ligaments and tendons of your joints, and eventually impacts the hips as well, and we never want to do that. Hip replacement is not a fun thing. I don't, but I think it's reasonable to assume that if you haven't, and for those who have, they will tell you it's not a fun thing. Now, how to place our hands on the mat in our forward folds. As we said last week, feet are 1 hip width distance apart. That's just approximately 2 fist widths. Slide them between. I used to say snug fist widths, but I realized by watching my in-studio students, there is a tendency of really squeezing the fists in It doesn't have to be. So as long as both your fists can slide in, not overly loose and not overly tight, that's good. That's your hip width. It aligns your ankles, your knees, and your hips. Yeah? To place the hands down on the mat. If you've done other yoga classes, I'm pretty sure you've heard beside the feet, and I also used to instruct that, placing the hands beside the feet this way. Another popular cue is right in front. Yeah, right in front of the feet. The thing with having the hands right in front of the feet, I'm gonna try to not move here. Well, it does. It does align, pardon the pun, with the wrists in line with the shoulders. Yeah, my wrists are in line with the shoulders with this alignment. The thing here is if the hands are too narrow, there's no space for your chest to go through. And when we bring the chest down in a flat plank, imagine this, that I'm bringing myself down in a flat plank. This is what happens. This is why the fingers tend to cup and tend to rotate in. The palm begins to cup. The elbows begin to wing out. Because we're trying to be rigid in that wrist in line with the shoulders alignment. And this is what's going to happen when we have that rigidity of having this alignment. Yeah, in my class, in the Mad Yogi class, this is how we get that alignment. The curve of the thumb, and this is again a review, the curve of the thumb to the corner of your wrist goes on the curve of your toes. So the thumb and the big toes are the ones that are more or less in alignment. I say more or less because some shoulders are really wide and some shoulders are really narrow. But if we use our body to align ourselves, we can get into a good alignment, yeah? So curve of the thumb comes down on the curve of the toes. The wrists are not in line with your toes here. They're a little off to the sides, yeah? And I'll try to move from here. I'll stay down. I'll try to move from here. From here, bring your hands up. I also do have an assumption here that you are following me, by the way. Bringing your hands up, yeah? I think you can see my shoulders here. So my wrists are not in line with my shoulders. They're a little wider than the shoulder joint. We're not measuring the outside of the shoulders. We're measuring the shoulder joint. And when I come down to a plank in this way, I can maintain my hands separate. I can point the elbows, towards the back if we're down in plank or down in this position. And when I come down to my flat plank, this is the position. There's clearance for my chest. I can squeeze the armpits in and the hands are still nice and wide. Yeah, and we will do this on the mat later. That was just a quick review. Now, let's do our spinal wave. Yeah, our spinal waves. I often give the cue of imagining either, a gymnast's ribbon. I think it's hopefully safe to say that we know that imagery when we watch the Olympics, or a snake, or waves, or ripples, yeah, or even a slinky, or maybe not a zipper, but maybe a slinky when you play with a slinky. Or if you hold on to a piece of string and you kind of wobble it, so it has that wave motion. That's how we want our spine to move in our spinal waves, whether that's in an upright standing position, in a seated pose, in an extended child's pose, in a downward facing dog, in any pose that we can do this anterior front spinal wave. That's how we want the spine to move. So I'll come sideways, yeah? we are going to tilt the hips. You are going to, if you can see this, my gluteals, my buttocks are nice and flat. It's not really actually nice. And we are not going to stay here, yeah? It's just to activate the hip complex, the hip joint complex. So we're going to tilt the hips. We're going to bring our belly in and up, our chest up, and our head up. Yeah, so if you can see, my lower back came back into its natural alignment, and that's what you want. You never really want this flat bump. Yeah, you never really want the flat bump. Our spine has natural curves, and the movement of the spinal wave follow those natural curves. And again, we never want the spine to be straight. We want it to come into, I can do it with my finger. We want it to maintain its natural curves. That's healthier for the spine. So, I'll give you an example of doing it down on a seated pose, yeah, or a seated position. It's still the same. Tilt the hips, belly in and up, allow the body to move. Chest up and head up. So we have this engaged and then soft during your transition, and then engage when you're in the pose. In a downward facing dog or a puppy pose first, bend the knees. So come into your plank, bend the knees, push through your arms. Yeah, pushing through the circles of your arms, the length of circles of your hands, rather, length of your arms, length of your back, and come into a puppy pose. That's a downward facing dog with your heels up and your knees bent. Let's do a spinal wave here. It's an up and down movement. Belly in and up, chest up, head up, and exhale, melting down. Yeah, belly in and up, chest up, head up, and melt down. In a downward facing dog, it's the same. Belly in and up, chest up, head up, and melt down. You are pushing through if you can see, the body here in a downward facing dog is in a triangular position, yeah? From the apex of the body, which is our sacrum here, you're pushing down. The force is going down through your legs into the triangles of your feet. The opposite side, it's going down through your back, into your arms, into the circles of your hands. So, when we do that spinal wave, we want to feel the force of motion going down. That way, following the triangle of your body. Yeah? And again, it's not moving forward and back. Yeah? With this, we're just hinging on the big joints. Yeah? It's an up and down motion. Belly in and up, chest up, head up, and exhale down. What does the spinal wave do? It neutralizes your big joints. It neutralizes, of course, the spine. It enables us to, apart from that articulation, of course, when we articulate the spine, the muscles that attach those scaffolding of thin cords of muscles all along the spine also get a workout. Yeah, we're able to access their movement. The spinal wave, and some people can do it really deeply, really pronounced wave, and some, especially if you're new to it, you're trying to do it, you feel silly because you don't feel like you're moving at all, and that's okay. And that is what we actually want to address, that eventually the wave doesn't have to be as pronounced as maybe a dancer can do or a gymnast can do, yeah? Because the discipline is just different. And we don't have to go all the way to that. If you are able to, that's good, but it's not an end all or be all of the movement. What we do want to do is to access those muscles and accentuate the hugging and lifting. My Mad Yogi, hug and lift, yeah? So when we do the spinal wave, we feel as if we're being molded or massaged in and up. My favorite visual for our mind's eye is as if we're a lump of clay on a potter's wheel and you're being sculpted in and up. Yeah, like a vase being sculpted in and up. And that's the spinal wave kind of accentuates that sensation in the body, being hugged in and up, lengthening the body up. Yeah, so we're being lengthened up. Okay, so spinal wave down, reviews down. Next, we are going to do the standing back bends. For myself, for my personal practice and my teaching practice, I always cue back bends to originate from the hips and not the lower back. Yeah? From the hips and not the lower back. What that does, or my intention is to avoid us doing this as our back bend. Yeah? And there are yoga poses. You might think I'm exaggerating my speech right now, but I'm not. It's hard to talk. There are yoga poses where we do this, where the hips go back, the chest goes forward, and the back bend is in your lower back. Yeah? That is hard for your lower back because it crunches your vertebrae and it contracts too much, I believe, the QLs, the muscles right here. A lot of lower back spasms is because the QLs are spasming. What do I mean by originating back bends from the hips? This is what I mean. For example, in our upward facing hands pose, yeah? But we won't do it with the hands for this round. And again, my assumption is you are doing this with me, okay? Feet 1 hip width distance. You can place your hands here on your lower back, on your QLs, yeah? And just come into a back bend how you normally would. Sometimes it would be this. This one, this duck bombing position, yeah? Let's do our spinal wave just to address this lower back and bring it back into sanity. Tilt your hips, that relieves the lower back straight away. Wave the spine, belly in and up, chest up, head up. We want to maintain the natural curves of the back, but we don't want a hyperextension. Now, with your hands on your hips, this way, don't push your hips with your hands. Just ground your feet and push your hips forward, just forward. And allow the body to come into this letter C. And this is a safer back bend. What does this do? The body naturally counterweights itself. You can be looking forward if your balance is squeeze the front. Let's come out of that for just a moment. You can, in standing back bends, you can keep looking forward. You're isolating your neck muscles. You're lengthening the back of the neck. Yeah, because the head is a heavy object. So you can keep. I'll just show you. In a shallow back bend, you can keep looking forward. Yeah. Just so the head doesn't drop back, and this is fine. This is okay. Actually, don't keep turning your head like I'm doing. So, one version of a back bend with regards to the head is looking forward. If you are feeling okay and balance is good and you don't have any neck issues, you can drop your head back and open the front of the neck this time, contracting the back of the neck this time. But again, the balance here is a little trickier because the head is heavy and pulls the body back, yeah? To come out of back bends, Don't think about your lower back. Think about squeezing the front line of the body. That means the muscles on the front of the body. Everywhere from the pectorals, your abdominals, your psoas, even your quads. And you're grounding down the triangles of your feet, especially the flats of the toes. You can even grip your toes on the mat to bring you back upright, yeah? So, roll your shoulders. Let's counterpose that with a forward fold. Bend your knees, tilt your head, point your head down, lead with the crown of your head. Just slide your hands down on the mat. Position your hands. Let's see if you remember that lesson. Position your hands down on the floor. Let the head go in our forward fold. This is the soft version of the forward fold, meaning to say your knees can always maintain a micro bend anyway, yeah? Don't hyperextend the knees. But meaning to say there's no real activation of the arms and the hands apart from helping you just balance yourself in this forward fold. The active version of our forward fold is pushing through your back, down the line of your arms, into your hands. You're pushing your legs down into the triangles of your feet, but maintaining a micro bend in the knees, never hyperextending them. And feel your back arching up. That's the active forward fold, letting the head go. And soften your knees, bend them, push through your legs, roll yourself up, wave yourself up. Yeah? So that's our standing back bends. Again, if you want to add the arms, bring the backs of the hands in, wave your arms up, push your hips forward. The standing back bend doesn't have to be very deep. Yeah? Just a small click forward of the hips is fine. But if you're feeling like it and you're feeling confident, you can come really deep. Now, to come out, squeeze the front line of the body. And lift. Whew. Now, prone back bends, the ones down on the mat, cobra and upward facing dog, follows the same principle. The hips always push forward and up. Yeah, there's this arcing motion. The hips go forward and up. Yeah, so forward and up is what we want the motion of the hips to go through. Yeah, that's our safe back bend. Down on the mat, it's the same, but it's going to be, an unstoppable force, which is the movement of our body, meets an immovable object, which is the floor. The transference of energy will then go into the spine and arcs you up. Yeah? So let's do that. Come into a plank first. Knees down. Untuck your toes. This is our knee plank. Yeah? These are our cues, people. From here, bend your elbows to the back. I hope you did place your hands a little wider than your shoulders. And your chest, your torso can comfortably come down into the mat. Now, I always do 3 kinds of back bends here. Let's start with a shallow back bend. Again, the hips push down and up, but there's nowhere the body will go, so that that force, that energy will transfer up towards the body and bring you into your back bend. Now, but you are still squeezing the back muscles. You're lifting the hands. We'll do a shallow cobra. Lift the hands off, squeeze the back muscles, and move through your hips in a shallow cobra. And hands down. Good. Now let's do a higher cobra with the aid of the strength of the arms. Yeah, but you're not necessarily pushing yourself up straight away. So from here, squeeze the back muscles, hands down, push your hips forward. In this case, forward is down into the floor, forward and up, and assist your back bend with your arms. But the motion of the hips is still the same. Yeah? Now for cobras, the elbows are bent, the legs are down on the mat. Exhale down. Otherwise, you will be crunching your lower back once again, and we don't want to do that. Last one, prone back bend for our sun salutation A. This is just the sun salutation A, people, and there's so many to learn, yeah? Now, upward facing dog from the floor. Squeeze the back muscles, push the hips forward and up, arcing your hips. Add the strength of your arms, high cobra. Then push your arms through the length of your arms, straighten your arms. Allow that lift to happen, but still feel your hips going through that motion of a back bend. And you've come into your upward facing dog. You're pushing through your arms into the circles of your hands. You're pushing down into the tops of your feet. And your legs are hovering up. Yeah? So this is our upward facing dog. The neck here is loose. Yeah, it's nice and loose. You might have, I'll just come out of that pose. You might have seen some versions with the head dropping back that way to open the neck. In my teaching, in my view, is we gain that in other poses anyway. Yeah, the front of the neck opening. Because in my upward facing dog, I do want us to look forward. The neck is neutral. If the neck is up here, well, you can do that too if you really want to. But for my practice, it's not necessary. So from an upward facing dog, if you're still with me, bring your knees down, tuck your toes under, lift up full plank, knees bent, push back, puppy pose. Again, in my teaching, we always do puppy pose because it's a safe and gentle transition to downward facing dog. And a lot of people can't seem to fall in love with downward facing dog anyway, but everyone loves a puppy, yeah? So from here, spinal wave, belly in and up, chest up, head up, and exhale down. And a few more spinal waves. If you do want to come to downward facing dog, lengthen your legs in that downward wave. Deep, full breath. To come up, heels up, knees and elbows bend, and walk. But when you walk in any of your classes or my class, I want you to curl those legs up. Knees bend and just ragdoll up. Deep, full breath. Now, massage your wrists. Just massage your wrists. Last one, and we will do a few rounds of our sun salutation A. Oh, excuse me. Edit that out. We will do a few rounds of our sun salutation A. When we bring our arms up in our upward facing hands, this is my cue. Yeah, and you are welcome to bring this to any of your other yoga classes. You're of course invited to come to my class, yeah? But to bring the arms up, bring the backs of the hands together, palms are facing out, and wave your arms up. The body waves, even the arms, even the legs. Press in gently the backs of the hands and wave your arms up. What does that do? It counterposes all of this plank wrists, and when you come to our cobra, high cobra, and upward facing dog, all of these wrist extensions. Pressing the hands in, waving them up, does two things. It counterposes the wrists, and it's a nice graceful transition to an upward facing hand. Yeah, you're doing a whole lot of things as opposed to just bringing the arms up, yeah, or bringing the arms up this way, yeah. Do a lot more things. The body, our intentions are multifold, so why not take advantage of that? So, if you're ready, let me just check my timer. Okay, if you're ready, come to the top of your mat and let's do at least 2 or 3 sun salutation A's, and then we'll close our workshop class. Feet 1 hip width distance. Roll the shoulders. I won't be able to keep looking all the time towards the camera now, yeah? So just listen to the instruction or watch first if you want to, especially if you're watching this on replay. Bend your knees, tilt your hips, wave the spine up, backs of the hands together, wave the arms up. Push your hips forward, shallow or a little deeper with your back bend. Squeeze the front line of the body to lift, hands in, press your elbows in, but keep them lifted. Knees bend, bow down, forward fold. Release your hands on your mat, down on the mat, curve of the thumb, on the curve of your toes, let the head go. Soft forward fold and transition to an engaged forward fold. Push through your arms, push down through your legs, feel your back lifting. Exhale, soften. Finger pads high on your shins as we did last week. Push through your arms, waving up halfway. We covered the half lift in the part 1, in the foundations and flow part 1. Exhale down. Reset your hands. Bend your elbows and your knees and just step back. Plank, knees down, knee plank. Untuck your toes, bend your elbows to the back, let your chest come down between your hands in a flat plank. Hands hover up, squeeze the back muscles, activate the movement of your hips, low cobra. Hands down, add the strength of your arms, higher cobra, or a lot more in an upward facing dog. Exhale, abdominal massage down. Tuck your toes under. You're welcome to lift the chest up into a knee plank first, or push through your arms, lift straight up into your full plank. Knees bend, push back, puppy pose. Spinal wave. You can sigh if you want, and a few more spinal waves. And then downward facing dog if you want this pose. And a few more spinal waves here. Feel the backs of your legs all the way to your calves. Lengthen up with every wave of the body. Yeah? Heels up, knees and elbows bend. If you're feeling like it, I'm going to throw in a hop here. Step or hop. Top of your mat. Forward fold, soft forward fold, engaged forward fold, soften once again, finger pads back any height on your shins, or if you want to, I'll throw this in. Just lift the heels of the hands up, coming onto the pads of your middle fingers, and wave yourself up here in a low half lift, the low version. Exhale down, knees bend, backs of the hands in, push through your legs, wave the body up, wave the arms up, backs of the hands pressing in, back to your upward facing hands. One more, push your hips forward, shallow or deep back bend. Squeeze the front line of the body to lift, hands press in, elbows press in, knees bend, head bows, Hands separate and down on the mat. Soften down. Engage your forward fold. Open the back. Soften. Wave up halfway. Set your finger pads anywhere you want them to now. Exhale, forward fold. Press the length of your arms into the circles of your hands and step or hop back. Bend your elbows and your knees. Step or hop back. All the way down. Untuck your toes. Waving up, low cobra, hands off. Higher cobra or upward facing dog. Abdominal massage all the way down. For this version, you always come down first. Tuck your toes under, lift up to your plank. In stages or straight up. Knees bend, push. By going to puppy pose first, again, it's safer for your lower back, yeah? So always bend the knees and push back to puppy pose. Spinal wave and downward facing dog if you want this pose. Deep, full breath. Heels up, knees and elbows bend, step or hop up. Reset your forward fold. Active forward fold, engaged forward fold. Opening the back. Soften, wave up halfway, half lift. Exhale down, knees bend, backs of the hands in. Wave yourself up. Breathing here. Now let's go down on the mat. Sit down. I always end my classes in a sacroiliac joint massage just to bring equilibrium back to the SI joint, yeah? So lie down on your mat. My assumption here is you are. Hug the knees in and draw circles with the knees. Deep, full breath. Not a very long one this time, because we've already gone through half of the things last week. So, okay. From here, if you want to go down into your Shavasana, extend your legs down on the mat, release the arms, and rest in your Shavasana. But if you want to get on with the rest of your day, you're welcome to lift back up. Come into a comfortable seated pose. Close the eyes just to reset the senses. Have some deep breaths. And then pop off the mat. And we can all get back to the outside world, to reality. Off the mat. But hopefully the lessons we get on the mat, and that's self-awareness, non-judgment, kindness, and all of that loveliness. Those are the things that we bring off the mat. Because if we can give those to ourselves, we can give those to others as well. Thank you so very much, and I will see you next week for part 3 of our Foundations and Flow. Bye! And I will come near to end the video. I will see you all next week for part 3.